Folks, we are back with the WPF Season 2, and as you guys might recall, we did win the first ever WPF Delta Division in August, and I'm stoked to be back bringing you guys another draft analysis. We got the first spot in the draft, and so I'm sure you guys can figure out what we already got, but with that being said, it is all about the wheels. So with that being said, let's get on into the draft analysis. You know we had to get Pult round 1. I really love this mon, even though I have never used it before. I really like its ability to be fast and its ability to hit hard. And frankly, in Gen 9, that's all you need. With Ghost Stab being one of the best offensive stabs in the game and the ability to outspeed your opponents, Dragapult is going to be able to cleave through teams or just clean up games super easily. But you guys already know enough about this mon. Let's show you guys what we paired with them. It wouldn't have been a Season 1 championship without Kingambit, and so you know we had to bring him back for Season 2. Now granted, it isn't the Omniterra Kingambit that we had in the past, but that being said, it's still a demon, and because we have it on our team, we don't have to face it off with a Pult on our side, and so it's going to be very nice to avoid that matchup going into the rest of the season. But Kingambit is such a good mon, great attack, great abilities, and when you have a Kingambit, you always have a chance to win. Up next, we got Ogerpon Wellspring, and I picked this mon because I liked Ogerpon Cornerstone so much in PPL, and so I had to bring back another Ogerpon. I really like its stabs in water and grass. I like its ability to mess with the base 110 speed-wise, and I like its ground resistance. Obviously, it's not a traditional water, but its ability to fire off massive hits, U-turns, knockoffs, and leech seeds is going to be very valuable for this team, and its ability to kind of mess with stuff that Kingambit and Pult might not like is going to be very useful for cleaning up in the endgame. Up next, we got our Terra Captain in Sylveon, and I've been using this mon in a doubles and singles league, and I've been loving Sylveon. And so getting it with the ability to terrestrialize into fairy, ground, or water is going to be super fun. Fairy is of course just for firing off these massive hits, ground is for dealing with steals that Pult might not like and Kingambit maybe doesn't want to fuck with, and then you also got water, which kind of bridges both gaps, being able to deal with steals, maybe not super effectively, but offering a resistance when Ogerpon Wellspring isn't really a traditional water. I really like Sylveon's ability as a cleric, but I also like its ability as a nuke with Terra now. And because it is a specially offensive monster at this point, it means that Dragapult doesn't really have to fit into that role, and because we already have some physical attackers and we're going to get some more special offense, Pult's going to be able to fit into its best role, and we're just going to be able to piece some great mons around it. Iron Moth is up next, continuing the theme of special offense, and just looking at this team, now we really have a lot of balance on the physical and special side of offense, of course with Dragapult being able to bridge that gap. But with that being said, Iron Moth is a really fun mon, and I like how it juxtaposes with Ogerpon Wellspring's abilities. It kind of has very similar but opposite things. They have unique spikes, they have the ability to both U-turn, but obviously they deal damage in different ways. Ogerpon with the physical moves, and Iron Moth with some phenomenal special coverage. That being said, Ogerpon doesn't get an item, and Iron Moth gets a lot of item access, because it also has access to booster energy, being able to boost its special attack or its speed on any given day. What's also nice about Iron Moth is that it scares out the fairies, and so whatever the fairy is switching into, Iron Moth is going to deal a ton of damage to, and that means that it's going to be able to help with other mons' cleaning potential, because you're not just dealing with the fairy that's for Pult, you're also going to deal with the rest of the team. thundurus-t provides us some very useful immunities in ground and electric, and it really means that Terra Ground Sylveon doesn't have to show up just to deal with the electric types, and so it kind of frees a lot from a lot of different Pokemon. Its special offenses, of course, mean that Pult doesn't have to run special offense in a pinch, and it also means that thundurus-t, because there are so many other specially offensive mons, it means that it doesn't have to be the offensive threat that it really needs to, and so if we ever need to invest into the defensive side, which is of course lacking, we can. That being said, obviously you can't sleep on thundurus-t's ability to provide massive hits for the team, being able to outspeed base 100 mons and coming off of a base 145 special attack stat. This mon is going to be able to deal an insane amount of damage, and also has access to Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave for those fairy types. Up next, we got Necrozma, and I'm so excited to use this mon. I think this is kind of like a Mew Light in terms of its capabilities, given the fact that it has really solid offenses, it has great coverage, it has good setup and status, and it also has rocks. So you can really do a lot with this mon. Now, pairing a high-tier Psychic with Dragapult can sometimes be an issue because it stacks weaknesses to Ghost and Dark, but because this mon has Prism Armor, it weakens its super effective damage, and so I'm very excited to have this mon just sitting in the back, waiting for its moment, whether that is to get up an SD, to get up rocks, to get off a nice coverage move. I'm super stoked to have this mon on the squad. And it also kind of balances out our speed tiers a little bit, and it means that mons that are under 100 won't just be creeping all the way down. Now, a mon like Shiftry I think is going to be so good here. It was only 2 points, and we only had 3 points left in the draft, of course, because you could see all the high tiers that we picked up. But Shiftry with Terra for 2 points is such a great option. Its ability to turn into a dark type and kind of pressure fairies even more with a boosted stab knockoff into potentially a leaf blade is going to be very nice. And then having fighting and flying as other options is going to be very cool as well. It also has great status moves in Tailwind to get basically a shift gear up, as well as Will-O-Wisp and T-Spikes, which I think are both very useful to a team like this. Especially when you have the best Hex user in the game, having something like that just in the back pocket is going to be a lot of fun. Lastly, we got Phione for 1 point, and for a Terramon with the ability to use Take Heart, I think this is a very, very solid pickup with our last point left. It can turn into Water, Fairy, and Normal, which I think are all very fun types. Water, I think, is going to be very useful here because Ogerpon isn't a traditional water type, and Sylveon shouldn't be forced to Terra into water either. So just having a Phione in the back just to be able to have that water type innately to it without any strings attached is going to be very fun. Fairy, I doubt we'll really use, but Normal might be nice in the case of a very strong Ghost type, where King Gambit isn't just the only option that we need to have on the team. And so with that being said, that's going to be our draft with Phione rounding us out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Obviously, we did the INT draft last week, and that team was so much fun, and I think this one is a bit better. It maybe isn't as fun, but I think it is very top-heavy, and for a very good reason. We have so many fun mons, and the mons that we even have in low tier, I think, are hits as well. So I'm very excited to use this team going forward, and we have to take on a champion week 1 in Jack, the BBR Season 6 champion. And so with that being said, I'll see you for that Championship Titan match week 1 next Friday. Peace.